response here is first under the question, and I said that I can be reached pretty much any way that my co-captain prefers, whereas my co-captain who responded second said that texting her is probably the best and most reliable. This is really important for me so that if I need time-sensitive information from her or I'm having some kind of captaining crisis, I can look back at this document and I know that I should respect her boundaries and her preferences by texting her, and vice versa. If she needs something from me, she always knows how I can be reached. Next, how one handles things when they are stressed out is hugely important to knowing how you're going to end up co-leading. This was actually one of the most difficult parts of captaining for me last year, because captaining can be stressful sometimes. It kind of is just built into the job. It's a fast-paced thing, and there's a lot to keep track of. And so when it gets stressful, if you and your co-captain or co-lead react in completely different ways to that stress, you won't be able to get much done, or the work might fall disproportionately on one person versus the other. So to avoid this, I encourage you to reflect on yourself and recognize your own response to stressful conditions. And if you need to, after this discussion, develop a plan with your co-captain to bridge those discrepancies. So you're not just figuring it out as you go or when there's a pressing matter looming. It makes your teamwork a lot stronger. And you can see here that me and my co-captain have pretty similar responses, so we didn't need to do too much more planning or conversation, but that's going to look different for everybody. Lastly, it's important to discuss your goals for yourself as a captain and for your team at large, because depending on who you're leading with, you might have very different perspectives and angles of where you want to go for the year. And it's important to know up front if those goals differ so that you know when to negotiate and compromise to help your co-captain reach their goals, and vice versa. They know that sometimes they might have to put aside their own projects and goals to help you reach your vision for the year. And lastly, I have outlined down at the bottom here some of the important things that I want my co-captain to know that I wish someone would have told me last year so that she can go into the year with a stronger foundation than I began with. It's a great way to just keep information clear and keep it going in a line of succession year after year. So I'm just going to scroll through a little bit so that you can see the kind of things that I have on this document. Again, I will also make sure that I share this link for everybody at the end of my presentation. And I had this conversation with my co-captain in the midsummer, so before our fall season had started, before we really had any outreach or team meetings to do, so that it was kind of the first thing, the very first thing, and the very first introduction to captaining that we got. Awesome. So next in foundational resources, I have outlined the 5-step process that's going to solve all of your problems. And that's maybe a little bit of an over-exaggeration because it's not going to make your bed or fold your laundry or wash your dishes. But for all captaining situations, from outreach events to new team projects and even interpersonal conflicts within your team, this outline is a great way to at least get started if you're not sure where to begin. And as I go through this outline, I'm going to give you an example from my own team from when we had to use this process this year. First is consider. What is the problem that you're attempting to solve, and what are the factors that play into it? What are the root and source of the issue? For example, our team's annual retreat this year had to be altered to fit our school's COVID restrictions and to keep every student safe and engaged at the same time. So me and my co-captain brainstormed how to approach the event in a new and unconventional way that we hadn't had to before. Next, express those ideas and thoughts that came up during that brainstorming step. Always provide your reasoning for your ideas so that you're all on the same page, and listen to others. Make sure that you get everybody who's going to be involved in the planning and executing process, and you really listen to their ideas. And this is the step where it's really important to keep an open mind and a willingness to find the best solution for the team, not necessarily just your own solution. Continuing my own team's example, this is where we wrote down ideas, We got the mentors together and discussed, and we finally settled on the premise of the retreat, which was foundational teamwork skills and communication. Then the planning step. Think through every detail of what it's going to take to carry out the vision you've decided on. When will you address the issue? With whom will you address the issue? And how are you going to do it in an effective manner? This is where you lay out a timeline, a contact list, and any to-dos that you need to do for yourself and your leadership team. Here, for my team, we planned every activity we would do at our retreat, and every material that was needed, we got together to help us achieve our goal of enriching team bonds and building a respectful community on our team and while we're at competition. And now it is time to execute the plan. This is where you reach out, set the date, implement the plan, address the issue with intention. And by that, I mean to be thoughtful and deliberate with the way that you are addressing the issue so that you really hit all of those goals that you wanted in that express and plan part of the outline, and you're not just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. This is where we had our retreat for my team. We went through all the activities minute by minute, and I thought it was a lot of fun. So we had a really great retreat. And last, you reflect and evaluate the success of your project. What went well and what can be improved in the future? For my team retreat, I got some feedback about activities, both positive as well as some constructive criticism on what we can improve in the future. And I've made sure to record that for future years so that we can continue to make this annual retreat better and better every year that we have one. And with that plan and with that point about documentation, I will get into my one-stop shop for captain's documentation. Here they are, the annual notes. The annual notes are the holy grail of captaining information. You have to have a little bit of discipline with yourself to make sure that you're trying to record as much as possible in them, but little by little, you will have a complete guide to your year by the end of the season. And these notes are great for every type of captain because for returning captains or more experienced captains, they're a great way to solidify and practice the information that you accumulate throughout the year and that experience that you want to pass down. And for newer captains, it's a great way to kind of understand what a captain does, what happens throughout the year, and why it happens the way it does. I think of the annual notes as a little bit of a glorified journal for everything related to captaining. So every major event has a description, a heading, along with any relevant documents that are needed for planning or feedback. Along with that, I've found that adding personal notes can also help new captains along their journey when they look at it in the future. Don't be afraid to record things that didn't turn out right or things you forgot to do, because in the future, they'll help others perform better and not make the same mistakes. Also, this is really important. Don't be afraid to write about how you feel. It might sound a little bit unrelated to this information-based notes system at first, but getting your feelings down positive or negative or in the middle about captaining is actually really helpful and productive for others, because in the future, when the freshmen that are on your team right now grow up and they become captains and leaders, and they think that all the people that they looked up to were perfect and that they never felt overwhelmed or stressed or unsure of themselves, they'll have a document that tells them that's not true and that they can handle it and possibly give them some advice on how to get through it. And so I would highly recommend recording all of those emotions to help out captains after you and help them know that they're not alone. And so here are my annual notes from last year. You can see that action and event-based entries are bolded in black font, whereas those personal and emotional notes are in pink font. And I'm going to show you my entry from kickoff last year because I think it's a really great entry and it incorporates a lot of those things I just talked about. And you can see there's a lot of information here, little by little adding more and more. And I ended up getting 10 pages last year. And here we are, the kickoff planning entry. You can see it's bolded in black font so people know that it is an event-based entry. It's clearly labeled so that in the future, when people start looking at kickoff, they'll know exactly where to go. I've explained when we started planning kickoff, why we started planning it at that time, and who we sat down with to start fleshing out that plan. And I have two documents here. One is with our very early brainstorming thoughts, ideas about kickoff, as well as our final agenda and our minute-by-minute plan. Then you might notice that there is a big bolded caps lock, please note section. This is intended to get everyone's attention so that when in the future they're planning kickoff, future captains can see that we did not allot enough time for the kickoff live stream. We underestimated our timing by about 30 to 45 minutes, which, as you can imagine, really made us have to reevaluate what we're going to do the day of kickoff. We had to shift things around, shorten things, get rid of things as we were in the middle of kickoff. So in the future, when future captains plan kickoff, they will see the please note section and they will add more time for the kickoff live stream and not make the same mistakes that we did. Right above it, I'd also like to share one of these more emotional, less tangible sides of captaining with this pink doubt entry. So I was feeling a little bit of self-doubt, a little bit unsure of myself because it was a little bit of a tough year. Again, not really knowing what I should be doing. And so I wrote about it, I got it down. And now when future captains feel unsure of themselves or they're feeling that self-doubt, they'll know that they aren't alone and they'll have a little bit of advice from an older captain. And again, I will kind of scroll through a little bit for you to see. This year, I anticipate that my notes will be less than 10 pages because we are having less of competitions, we're having less outreach events, and less meetings in general. So I anticipate maybe 5 to 6 pages this year. It's going to be different for every single team, depending on how you normally operate and how you do your own documentation. Again, I will make sure I share this link with everybody at the end of the presentation.
These are very thorough notes. I could never be this thorough.
You can be. It just takes a little bit of discipline. I do not consider myself a very thorough person, but if you just stick with it, I promise you can.
Yeah, no, these are great.
Thank you. So now I'm going to discuss co-captaining and co-leading. So we've already been through that preliminary 4-2 discussion document, but for newer or less experienced captains especially, I recommend making a skills list to help guide them into this new role that they might be unfamiliar with. So I'm going to show you this document as well. I think of this skills list as a job description and a goals list. Think about everything that you need to know to be a successful leader on your team. Maybe you're thinking about communication with others, problem solving, keeping good records and documentation, conflict resolution, whatever it is that you think needs to be mastered by the end of your season captaining, put it down on the list. Involve your captains, your other captains, your mentors, ask them what they think are the successful traits of a leader and put those down as well. Then, whenever you and your co-captain check in, go through the list and ask how they're feeling about all of these objectives. And if you feel that it's necessary, that's also a great time to compliment, guide, or give feedback on any of these tasks that you see as an opportunity to grow in. And so you can see I have things like writing professional emails, leading team meetings, that's part of our captain's responsibility, communicating with mentors in a respectful and timely manner, conflict resolution as per our team's handbook, including everyone in decision making. These are very tangible goals, and there's probably 10 to 15 of them. So they're easy to look at, they're easy to digest. Again, there's little descriptions so that newer captains have an actual goals list of things that they can begin working towards from day one. And along with co-captaining, it's really important to know yourself and how you work with others to understand how your team and you and your co-captain are going to work best together. So here on this slide, I've adapted an exercise that we did at our team retreat called the compass test. And the compass test outlines that there are 4 fundamental types of leaders: acting, feeling, planning, and flexing. Acting leaders like to get things done right away when they identify a problem. Feeling leaders want to make sure that everyone's voices and opinions are heard before they act. Planning leaders want to know every detail of a situation before they approach a solution. And flexing leaders want to adapt to the situation as it unfolds. So I encourage you, even just as we're listening right now, to think about yourself and how you react to challenges and projects. And while people won't always fit neatly into one of these categories, it's likely that you might feel that you identify most with one of these 4 compass directions or leadership profiles. And at the last presentation that I gave, we went through this discussion scenario, and I collected some information about how different leadership approaches play out in a real scenario. So I'd like to go through those with you as well. This is actually a situation that my team had to deal with last year with our kickoff event. And I think it's really great to highlight the differences and importance of discussing those leadership profiles. So the scenario is that your team's kickoff event has been successful in past years, but some flaws have been brought to your attention. A small group of strategists meet to determine the best approach to the game, while the majority of students are left to look through online forums. While your strategy team has a winning track record, and they are the only students on your team who have extensive knowledge about strategy, the rest of the team is left feeling excluded and left out. How would you approach this issue? And I encourage you to maybe take a second and just think, what is your first instinct? How would you react to this? How would you address this issue? And while you're thinking, I'm going to share kind of the information that I've gathered, and I've thought through how each of these leadership profiles might approach this along with their drawbacks. So first, a feeling leader might have the instinct to break up the strategy team and have them go to smaller groups of students to lead discussion to help include more people's voices. However, one of the drawbacks of this approach is that while hearing everyone's voice is very important, not everyone's ideas can be implemented. And that can be painful for people sometimes and difficult, that we're trying to find the best solution for the team, not always just an individual's idea of a solution. Acting leaders might find the problem and be so eager to act that they rip the event apart and restructure it and go in a completely new direction. And this could be a really helpful solution for some people. However, aggressive correction might cause confusion, and it might take away those original positives that were in the event. For example, that your strategy team has been performing really well. You might lose sight of that in the process of taking apart the whole event and restructuring. A planning leader might want to examine why the strategy team is feeling exclusive and research what resources that they could start to implement to make the rest of the team feel included in those strategy discussions. However, one of the drawbacks is that when you spend too much time hyper-focusing on things, those leaders might tend to lose sight of the original goal of the event because they're so focused on the small detail-oriented parts of this event. And lastly, flexing leaders might say, let's allow students who want to go join strategy to join and kind of figure that out as we go and see how many people want to join in those discussions. However, one of the drawbacks is that maybe every single student wants to go join those discussions, and that's something you can't accommodate. Or maybe no students want to go that way. Maybe no one wants to be included in those strategy discussions. And those are both results that you didn't really anticipate and that are going to cause confusion. And so maybe you saw your own leadership profile reflected here. Maybe one of these solutions was something that you immediately thought of, and that's awesome. Maybe you had a completely new solution, and that's equally awesome. But this goes to show that there are so many different ways to approach the same scenario, and all of them have pros and cons. So when we recognize our own response to these situations, as well as work with others to kind of bridge those gaps and keep each other balanced, we will avoid more of those drawbacks. And overall, it'll just be a lot better environment and more respectful environment of everybody's responses and leadership profiles. And along with leadership styles, there are 3 key steps in one's journey as a leader that I think are also important to talk about. So as you grow into a role, and perhaps you are in this role for several years, there are generally 3 steps that you want to think about when you think about your own growth and journey. And the first is the learning step. That's usually about the first year or so of your leadership journey. And that's where you are curious, open minded. You want to ask as many questions as you can and just try and soak in as much of the information that comes along with being in this leadership role. As always, document your findings so that future leaders will know what you've learned, and make it a point to really be present and take every opportunity to engage and practice those leadership skills. Next, after you kind of get those ropes down and you feel real confident in your leadership and what you've learned, then the next thing is to engage other people. Have fun with your teammates. And as I like to say, if you have fun, they'll have fun. If you are having a good time leading, you're really excited to give the presentation or to talk in front of the team, your teammates will mimic your energy and they'll feel a lot more comfortable around you, going to you for help, asking you questions about what it's like to be a captain or a leader. As well, I encourage you to think of leadership as a connection to your teammates and a way to serve your team. That way, it's just a lot more familiar, personable, and comfortable than when you're looking at a checklist and feeling stressed out about, I haven't checked these things off the list, or I haven't put this on the schedule. Leadership at its core is just another way to build friendships, bonds, and have fun with your team. And lastly, as you maybe think about moving out of a role, or if you're like me and you're a senior and getting ready to graduate, the last step on your journey is sustainability and thinking about how you can maintain this role consistently, even once you move out of it. So the first thing that you want to think about kind of connects to that engagement piece, which is building rapport and excitement about your job to other students. As I like to say, your job is to make your job look and feel fun. For one, you don't want to be miserable and stressed out when you are leading. Make it fun for yourself. But at the same time, when you are having fun and people think that captaining is really fun and easy, they're a lot more likely to ask questions and be excited about maybe sending in an application. As well, reaching out personally to people who you think might be interested in a role like that, or might have talents that would line up really well with your leadership role, is a great way to just highlight and encourage people to send in an application so that even when you're out of that role, you will have somebody lined up who will be excited and ready to take it on. And lastly, I have a section about what I wish I knew before I started captaining. So hopefully 1 or 2 of these points might resonate with you. And again, going back to the fact that last year was such a profound learning experience because both me and my co-captain went in blind. I have a lot of things I wish I knew before I captained. So I'm going to try and give you as much information so that you can go into this build season feeling strong and knowing the things that every captain should know. First, it is inevitable that you will face some self-doubt at some point, and that is okay. Everybody feels doubt, everyone feels unsure at some point, and how you handle it is what's really important. Please remember that the fact that you care about how you're doing proves something really, really essential. It's that you care about doing a good job and helping your team, and that's really great on its own. And I know that it doesn't feel great when you don't feel good about yourself or you don't feel good about how you're captaining, but by feeling those things and caring about how you're doing, you are serving the team in ways that you might not even recognize. Also, remember when you're feeling that self-doubt or that concern, remember to take care of yourself and your other commitments, including school. I know that we don't want to do our homework sometimes, and sending 15 emails is just so much more fun and appealing, but we have to stay on top of our school life and our own health before anything else. I would also encourage you to find a hobby that isn't robotics and enjoy it every once in a while when you need a break. Lastly, pay attention to how you're feeling and what your body is telling you. If you're tired, sad, frustrated, Communicate that to your co-captain and your mentors, and take some time for self-care. As we like to say on the Robettes, health, school, robotics, in that order. As a captain and a role model, you have to practice that as much as everyone else because you are a leader for the team. Next, respect. I know from personal experience that the first community is incredibly inclusive and respectful of everybody. But since we're humans, sometimes we struggle, and we need to be reminded about those key basic concepts of respect. Every contribution to your team is valuable. Make it a goal of yours to recognize those contributions where you can, no matter how big or small they might seem. For example, if the freshman on outreach makes a new poster for an event that you're having, or maybe just a student on mechanical had a really good attitude when their design didn't work out. They aren't huge contributions sometimes in terms of team progress or awards or fundraising, but they are contributions nonetheless, and they are equally as valuable as everything else. So make it a point to recognize those, because it shows how deeply you respect the work of others, and everyone else will follow your lead. It will create a much more respectful and kind environment for your whole team. Also remember that your work is to be respected. People will not always agree with your decisions, and vice versa. Or maybe they think the new initiative or team project that you're implementing isn't all that great. It happens, and people have their way of letting you know when they don't like something you're doing. And we need to respect that because it's opinions and feedback, and we can always have room to grow. But you also have to have enough confidence in yourself as a leader to know that you and your contributions to the team are valuable. Only you know how many emails you sent last week or how many hours went into planning this new team event. Other students who haven't captained or led before might not understand how much work captaining and leadership is, just because it's really hard to comprehend from the outside how difficult or elaborate planning for a whole team can be. So with that, know that your work matters and it deserves respect, just like everybody else's. Furthermore, balance is key to captaining. Last year, I spent so much time getting caught up in being perfect and mulling over every little detail that I missed out on a lot of other parts of my life because I didn't balance and self-regulate myself. Once again, I'm sorry to be the bringer of not so happy news, but sometimes things just don't work out the way that you plan them. No matter how much time or effort you put in, sometimes things just don't work out. And I wish that I were better at remembering that I'm not the only person on the team. And that sounds really self-explanatory, but that means that you aren't responsible for every success or every little thing that doesn't work out. As leaders, it's really easy to beat ourselves up over something that didn't work or go to plan. But again, the fate of the team does not rest squarely on your shoulders or your contributions alone. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a team. That's the whole point of teamwork. So with that being said, stay humble through every success because it's shared, but also feel free to let go of some of the stress and anxiety that comes with small mistakes because it's not the end of the world, I promise. Next is conflict. It's important to remember that many conflicts are not in fact personal. Robotics tends to be stressful, especially during build season or high points through your year. And when students find themselves in conflicts, it's often due to external factors like sleep schedule, schoolwork, or things in personal lives that we don't necessarily know about. So treat every tense situation with gracious professionalism, just like you would with other teams, because you are a model for the team and they will mimic your energy and your actions. Every student is your colleague, and when you start seeing that you're all teammates and you're all working towards the same goal, there's always a civil solution. At the end of the day, you all just want to learn and grow and have fun, and recognizing common ground will help you resolve those disagreements when you find them. Next, when approaching the season, teach yourself to view all things with a growth mindset. A growth mindset is finding the opportunities to learn from your experiences and teach others rather than simply seeking perfection. See the difficulties, the challenges, and the discomfort in the season and ask yourself how you'll learn from it. What can I gain from this problem is a go-to question with a growth mindset. Even your mistakes are learning moments. For example, I will give you an example from my own year. I've been struggling lately with my organization for our weekly team emails. So instead of beating myself up, I put a repeating alarm on my phone for Sunday evenings so I never forget to send another team email. There is always room to grow, no matter how long you've captained or how many dozens of team emails you've sent. Along with that, ask yourself what you can teach others. This is actually my motivation for being here this morning and giving this presentation, because I've never presented at an event quite like this, but my goal going into the year was to try and give all of my knowledge to younger students and other students, both on my team and not, so that I'm teaching future leaders the essential knowledge that they'll need to grow and be better, and so that future leaders don't start completely from square one like I did. So going back to a growth mindset, that kind of thinking and mindset will help you find the positives in situations that might otherwise drag you down. And in general, it can just greatly enrich your team and create a more positive atmosphere. Lastly, a bit of backstory. My team's core values are confidence, compassion, integrity, curiosity, and perseverance. And when we made those core values my sophomore year, I felt really good and strong that I felt like I knew every single core value except for perseverance. I never truly understood what it meant to just go in and try your best over and over and over again until I started captaining. Because captaining is a mix of dynamic tasks that are always changing and smaller repetitive goals, there is so much opportunity to try again. And for me, that's really reassuring, and it's actually one of my favorite parts of being a captain. I probably sent hundreds of emails about robotics last year, and some of them were not perfect. I probably forgot a comma, I probably misspelled something, and to be honest, I probably forgot a few, 2 or 3 or more. Thus is the way of human nature. But I got to try again, dozens and dozens of times. And it's the same thing with events. Sure, there are quirks, there are things that don't work out, don't go to schedule, but I learned from that last year, and I think everyone can learn from that. For example, we have our fall retreat in September that I talked about earlier, and I take lessons that I learned there and apply it to kickoff in January. And from kickoff, I learn and I grow, and I apply those to our team banquet in May. There's always room to try your best and try something new, and that's what persevering is. Learn what you can, do your best, and you'll do better on the next go around. Now, if I could give you one singular piece of advice that you take away from this presentation today, it would be that captaining is for everybody. There is no way, and I mean 0.000% chance way, that you are going to break your team. There is no way that you are going to somehow crack the foundation of your team so irreparably and so badly that the team quits and disbands in a fit of rage and no one ever talks again. It's not going to happen. I'm exaggerating, and it's not going to happen. So in the grand scheme of things, when you really think about it, there's nothing to fear at all. The only thing that you can do as a captain and a leader is try your best, learn, and have fun. Anybody can lead, and everyone has the ability to learn and grow. So if you're on the fence about captaining or leading this year or next year, it never hurts to send in an application. You never know what you can learn. And with that last piece of advice, I'd like to thank you all for listening to my presentation. I hope that you've gained some advice or clarity about captaining for this year and going into the future. If you ever want to reach out to me or my team, ask a question, or just talk robotics or captaining in general, I'm always reachable at my team's general email, 2177@therobets.com. And I will open the floor for any questions that anyone might have. And I just want to thank all the organizers and my moderators for coming to this event, volunteering their time, and for everyone watching, for supporting such an awesome event.
Yeah, well, thank you, Maisie. That was a great presentation. I liked all your documents, as I mentioned. I only aspire to be that detailed one day. Uh, but yeah, okay. So I know I have a lot of questions myself, but we'll start off with some from chat. Riaz, why don't you ask away?
Yeah, sure. So the first one is, how important is it to co-captains to have complementary leadership profiles?
I don't think that it should be the basis of why you pick any co-captain or co-leader. It's more that once you are assigned to that role and you meet with your co-captain, it's just better to recognize those differences and have a plan in case there is some kind of difference or big discrepancy. I don't think that it is essential to have the same leadership profile or different leadership profiles. And honestly, on my team, and I haven't talked to anyone where that is an essential role in picking leaders, but I think it is an important conversation to have both with your co-leads and your whole team, just to recognize and go into the season knowing how you're going to be able to work differently and work together to the same goal.
And on that note about co-captains, do you like when you have co-captains, do you split it up into different areas of the team, or do you just kind of both tackle it all together?
On my team, we have two co-captains. One year we had three, and we never did that again. But each year, co-captains and co-leads always kind of just work together to cover the whole span of the team. So we don't have a structure where I focus on outreach and she focuses on robot improvements or things like that. We tackle things together as a team. We do split up the work. So every other week, one of us sends the team email. Sometimes one of us has to focus more on a certain event or a certain project, but we work together to tackle things, and we don't necessarily split that up into different sections, but that might be different for other teams.
Okay, awesome. Any more, Riaz?
Yeah, I got a couple more. So did you have any other specific role, like design or chairman's, and how did you balance it with the captain role?
So I've been a safety captain for 3 years. And so the only other leadership role technically that I had during the time I've been captaining is safety captain. And I think my role as captain has really helped me be a better safety captain, and vice versa. My role and preparation as a safety captain has helped me be a better captain. And so they are different. They're different objectives. I am the sole safety captain, whereas I have a co-lead for captaining. But I don't find it that hard to balance, just because I see leadership more as an overarching theme in all of those roles that I take on. And I think that's a really good way to look at it. That if I can just take the things that I'm learning in my other roles and apply them to captaining, it really isn't hard to balance, because it's kind of the same role with a different coat of paint. It's the same skills, same communication skills and engagement, learning, sustainability plan that I talked about with all of my roles. So sometimes I do have to do a little bit of time management in terms of those different tasks, but I just think looking at it from the point that both leadership roles are going to use the same skills and kind of those same parts of your brain all the time consistently, and that both roles are just about having fun, is a really great way to just balance it and make it a little less stressful.
Thank you. And then you mentioned how to prepare your successor for the next year. What was the hardest part of that part?
That's a good question. And as I said, this is the first year that I've had a younger co-captain. So I guess we'll kind of see next year. Hopefully she is prepared to captain if she would like to. But I think maybe the hardest part is just recognizing our differences and recognizing that we do have such different perspectives and angles, which is why I've worked so hard on these resources, leadership profiles, talking about that skills list, because sometimes I need to kind of take myself out of the 5 years of first that I've had and the 2 years of captaining and recognize that this is really new for someone who is relatively young. She's the youngest captain we've ever had, and someone who hasn't been in first as long as I have, that sometimes I need to slow myself down. And I think that everyone thinks the same way that I do, and they don't. And I think just opening myself up to kind of slowing down, explaining myself, and recognizing that she has such great perspective and a different angle than me, and just being open-minded has been something that I do need to kind of work on, because I've been in leadership roles where that has never happened before. So I would say for me personally, just being open-minded and being ready to slow myself down a little bit has been the hardest part.
Thank you. And then the final question from me is, how do you motivate your peer students to follow the direction or plan that you want to take?
That's a good question. And I would go back to just that engagement piece that I talked about. And I do this with my safety captain role. I do this with my captain's role. I try to make everything that I implement fun, and I try to keep my energy high, because I think that people really do play off the energy that you put into things. And nobody wants to follow a leader who's standing at the front of the room, droning on, sad. There's no smile, there's no energy, and there's no passion. People are a lot more willing to buy into things if you're having fun and you're engaging them. You're making, I like to say, if they're laughing, they're not ignoring you. So throwing in a few jokes here and there. But I think the best way to motivate people to follow the plan that you've laid out, other than just those simple communication, respect parts that they need on their end, is also just to keep your energy high, keep them engaged, and keep them smiling along with you, because then they'll be listening and they'll be willing to follow you.
Great, that's some great advice. I actually wanted to talk to you a little about, so our team, we've never had like captains actually. And I feel like it's very common. I don't know. I mean, we're from Canada. I feel like it's more common in the US, but that's besides the point. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on how having captains can benefit an FRC team? Like, in what ways do you think, like if we were to consider adding it to our, sort of team roles? Obviously, we have like team leads. And inevitably, you have a few students who are, have been on the team for the longest and are sort of the most well-known sort of spiritual leaders, but we don't have the official captain role. So how do you think an FRC team that doesn't have one could benefit from having one?
That's a really great question. And I don't know if I've ever talked to a team that's never had like at least some kind of captain or main leader. So that's really cool, actually, to get to talk to a team that doesn't have that. I think that having some kind of defined captain or two or three, the way that I tend to look at captaining versus sub-team leads and crew leads and kind of that branch of the team is that my job as a captain is mostly administrative. It's mostly to send team emails, make sure everyone's prepared for whatever outreach event we have, make the schedule for competitions, room assignments, things like that. Those are pretty much my job description. And so it's me and my co-captain's job to take care of all of those smaller, more mundane, and more basic tasks for the team, as well as, leading those weekly team meetings, making sure that we're there for people. And it is the sub-team lead and crew lead's job to set their own goals and to say, here's what I would like for my sub-team. Here's what I want for the robot this year. And as captains, it is less our job to guide the team in that sense and oversee every single project all the time, and more just our job to make sure that we're helping those leads reach their goals. I think it's also helpful sometimes for students to have a point of contact that they know will have information or guidance or advice. Of course, that also comes with sub-team leads, mentors, things like that. But I think it's also helpful just for our students and for our school community to have a face or a name that if they ever have questions about anything they want to know about robotics, there's two people that they can always default to. And if we end up not being the right people to ask something, we'll always be there to defer it to somebody else and pass on the message. So I think it really does differ from team to team, and what works for every team is going to be different. But I think for my team, it's about having someone to oversee those projects and help answer questions and guide to support other leads in their roles, as well as having that point of contact for the school.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fascinating to me how different FRC teams and FTC teams have like such vastly different structures and just circumstances. So, while some teams might not have captains or might have captains in like different capacities than like 2177, I think everything you talked about is still very applicable in the sense of, you know, making sure that you're documenting everything you're doing. Um, all the lessons that you're taking away. Like I love the document where you're talking about how like, oh, we messed up this part of kickoff, and like next year we should probably schedule a little bit more time. Like that's always things that, I mean, like we don't have captains, but we have learned to definitely have like that kind of process where we're writing things down in somewhere and documenting it. So that's obviously a great lesson for every team to have. So Riaz, do you think you're going to be our captain next year then?
See.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Maybe yeah. I
That's
won't tease you
really
too much. Sorry,
That's
go
a
ahead.
really great point too, that like every team has a different structure. When I was in FTC in 8th grade and we did not have captains. It was our first year as a team. We just kind of cobbled together some sort of leadership structure, and it took on the same roles as a captain or those sub-team leads, just in a different way, and it looks different for everyone. So I really love that point as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all learn from each other, even if we have different sort of team structures. So yeah, I want to thank you once again for your presentation. This was really exciting. Is there any like, I mean, you mentioned how to contact you personally, but is there anything 2177 is doing, or maybe some of your social media that you want to put out there or something? Not sure.
Sure. You can find us. Our website is therobettes.com. There you can find kind of our team calendar, all of our team information. We're also on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, FRC 2177 The Robettes.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. I will just start a couple minutes early. So right now, for our 10 a.m. presentation slot, we have team 14437. I apologize if that's not how you say your team numbers. I am not used to pronouncing FTC numbers, so you'll correct me if I'm wrong, please. To talk about STEM Hub Journal. So yeah, if we can first start off, if you guys could just introduce yourselves, talk a little bit about your team, give some background, and then get into your presentation. Looking forward to hearing it all.
Hello, we are Team Rotuditu from Romania, Ploiești, and we are here to present our journal, STEM Hub Journal. And for a little bit of background, we came with this idea in summer, and over the course of the past months, we have improved it little by little, and we are here to show to you what benefits it can have for your team. So whenever I can start, I'm ready. I think this is the green light. So hello everyone, my name is Stefan. I'm a member of the FTC team Road to D2, as I said, and I will be your host from Romania, where local time is 5 p.m. For tonight's session, our team has prepared a series of presentations under the umbrella STEM Hub Journal, a platform for communication and a team building tool. We will present to you the importance of digital journalism on a more general note and how it helped us learn and achieve a new set of skills. Moreover, we will also teach you the basics of the app we use to create our articles, FlipSnack, and how we managed to use its features to our advantage. And, saving the best for last, everyone will give you a little overview of our journal's editions based on several themes. Well, it's time to learn a bit about us, who will be here with you today.
All right, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Perfect. So, as Stefan has said, we are team 14437, Road to D2. And before we get a bit into us who will be here with you today, I want to go a bit in depth and tell you about our name. Why did we pick Road to D2 out of all the names that there could be out there? Well, because, of course, we are huge fans of Star Wars. We have watched all the series and have loved most of them. And we wanted to kind of incorporate that passion into our robotics team and also kind of represent our country. So we kind of fused Romania, which we shortened to RO, and R2D2, which is the Star Wars character, and so came the name Road2D2. All right, now that you know why we're called Road2D2, let's go a bit into who will be here with you tonight or today, wherever you are.
Hello, my name is Daria, and I am an IT and computer science enthusiast.
My name is Alex, and I'm a jack of all trades.
I'm David, and I'm the social media guru.
Hi, I am Andrei, but almost everyone calls me Pika, and I am quite passionate in 3D design, and I am quite an avid Twitter user.
Hi, I am Andrei too, and I'm a construction master.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, and people call me Steffi, and I mostly work on the social media department.
Hi, I'm Stefan, and I would say I'm a charismatic genius.
And of course, all the others who are helping out wherever possible. Before we get into all the juicy stuff about our journal and all the great things that it brought with us, creating it and developing with it, we'd like to first leave you with a message that is kind of our daily inspiration. All right.
Now that you know everyone that is here and you got to know a little bit more about our team, let's get into what we have to present today. First off, me and Steffi will show you the advantages that are offered by digital journalism. Let me start off my presentation.
I just want to say before you start, that was a very impressive video. That the production quality is was next level.
Thank you very much. Let me show. Okay, can everybody see?
Yeah, it's perfect. So, first of all, beyond all the things that made us work together, digital journalism was the one we expected the least. This field was a whole new world of proofreading, writing letters, and on top, there was the graphical design of the magazine, all of which had to be done by a different member or department. So it all started with an idea to create a journal that could include topics that we are passionate about. For example, STEM education, robotics, first-related news, and more. As well, we wanted to create a place where people and teams alike can share their stories and also adventures. Our team is very diverse, and completing this task was a challenge. Since we all have different ideas and we are all specialized in various STEM fields, we needed to be coordinated.
First of all, we had to select a person that could see the bigger picture and transform our work into a finished product. A person that could make us the most productive version of ourselves, the editor-in-chief. Next, we created a team of 5 people, one of whom was a desktop publisher. The other 4 would be working on proofreading the articles that the other members have sent and written. It took considerable time to get started, to select the teams involved, especially as we were on holiday. When we started working on the journal, we realized how crucial the cover is in grasping the attention of the reader. 2 of our teammates had created some prototypes for it, but we felt we needed something made by a professional. Therefore, we collaborated with a graphic designer who created a beautiful cover which included the elements that are on our team's banner. It was amazing to see what an experienced designer could create, and he gave us some tricks to help us with the design of the interior of the magazine.
Lastly, we had a finished product, but we really needed a way to advertise it and to make it seen to our target audience. Here is where the social media department came in. For example, they started posting stories on Instagram with the cover and some sneak peeks with the interior of the magazine. One of our colleagues responsible for the editing of our videos, David, created a short teaser advertising the content of the journal. All of these represented a joint effort made by the members of the social media department to broadcast our publication. Creating a digital journal is not an easy assignment, but a really rewarding one. By going through all of the difficulties of gathering a team to designing the final product and assigning and delivering work, team members learn how to be more efficient and how to collaborate better with each other. This journey not only strengthens the robotics team, but it also helps their members understand the importance of teamwork and how each of them affects the other.
To conclude, I would say the team gained great skills in task delegation, shared responsibility, teamwork under the supervision of a member who assumed the reading role, working upon deadlines, acquisition of new skills such as graphic design, desktop publishing, work with new tools such as the FlipSnack platform, and above all, a different perspective upon STEM education towards STEAM. Thank you. Next up, we will have, let me stop my screen share. Next up, we will have Andrei and Alex, who will teach you and show you what youth journalism and its benefits are.
Can you see my presentation? Is everything all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go. So, youth journalism is a way for the youth across the globe to relate events, life experiences, and express opinions on different subjects that matter for them. For robotics, in particular, it helps STEM students not only share their knowledge and improve themselves as a community, but also to discover culture from other countries too. Youth journalism is the first step towards global citizenship, as making cross-cultural interactions a part of youth news projects can spur discussions and raise awareness among young people on issues that make a difference, making both local and international events more authentic for them as they engage in global issues that impact their lives. Writing about local activities in your area will help you learn more about your city or country and most likely will engage youth from different parts of the world in similar activities.
We talked about global citizenship and how you can achieve it. But what is a global citizen? Well, a global citizen is someone that is aware of and understands the wider world as well as their place in it. They take an active role in their community and work with others to make our planet more equal, fair, and sustainable. And global citizenship helps young people to build their understanding of world events. And now we will discuss the impact of digital platforms on teenagers' journalistic approach. These days, there are a lot of tools that you can use to express what you want to say. You can use photo editing software to get the most out of an image, and writing and design software to make your article as attractive as possible. Most people, especially teenagers, spend a lot of time online, and as a result, their information is gathered from there. Digital journals allow teens to get their opinions known between them, no matter where they are from. Also, youth-oriented articles help them develop as a person and improve their skills in different areas such as creative writing and critical thinking.
With the increasing demand of online social networking among young people, interactive youth journalism presents a way to shape this discussions within an authentic, meaningful, and secure environment. Studies have shown that young people are curious about global events.
Youth journalism and youth media can help answer this curiosity by creating accessible online forums for discussion across borders based on youth-produced news stories on issues that matter to young people. By developing these connections and partnerships among young people and by sustaining collaborative models of youth journalism, educators and media practitioners can help strengthen youth-produced news and can establish a firm global youth perspective in the socio-political debates leading to the next century.
Thank you, Alex and Andre. Now that you know the benefits of journalism, how do you go on about creating your own journal? Well, we've got just the thing for you. Alex and Daria have prepared a little sneak peek into FlipSnack and how to use it. So, Alex?
Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So, welcome to FlipSnack. This is an application that we have used to create the flipbooks that will be presented to you later in this presentation. It's a simple to use, intuitive platform to add a hint of personality to your articles to make them look just a bit more lively and interesting.
What we will do in our presentation is show you how to use FlipSnack by taking a quick look at all the tools provided by the app to help get you started in making your own articles.
All you need to do to work in FlipSnack is to create an account or sign up using Facebook or Google. After that, you are good to go. Now, let's create a new flipbook. So in order to do that, you either create from scratch or upload a PDF. But I would recommend creating from scratch as it allows you to access all the different features that FlipSnack offers to you to edit and make your articles as attractive as possible. And here in this interface, on the menu of the left is where all the magic happens. So first of all, you have the templates section. And this is one of the most important sections and one of the most useful ones. It helped us a lot when we got started. And if you guys maybe don't know where to start, if you're new to this whole digital journalism thing, this is a great place to take inspiration from. So as you can see, you have everything from newspapers, magazines, flyers, newsletters. And if you click on any one of these different categories and different templates, you will see a list of pages that you can actually copy to your own article and change the text and graphic elements and different pictures to adapt and make it suit to your own needs. So maybe if you are in a bit of a slumber and just staring at a blank page, this is a very great place to get started and get a kickstart to your creative process.
Next up, we have the link part. Here you can add external links, for example, to a YouTube video or a Facebook post or so on, or arrow-like buttons that send you to different parts of your magazine. For example, the previous page, next page, last or first page. they're extremely useful since it makes your article and overall magazine or journal much more interactive and interesting for the reader.
And next up, we have the text section, which is pretty self-explanatory. You have the heading, the subheading, and the body text options. And also you have a lot of various text templates that you can use here. So you can click any one of them to copy it to your own article and then change the text inside to suit your needs.
Next up, we have photos. So when we talk about journals and magazines, we also need to focus on visual impact because that's the first thing the readers notice. So FlipSnack provides you with different photos and also videos that are free to use and extremely useful because they are also themed. So for example, you can search for a specific theme like tennis, and you will find tennis related photos that you can drag and drop onto your page to insert the photo. And the same applies to videos. Next up, upload. Uploads are extremely useful because you can put your own photos. You can click there and select a specific file, or if you have it, you can drag and drop in this empty area here. And then again, drag and drop it onto the page to insert it.
We also have the video section, which is actually only a premium feature. So if you have a free subscription like we do, you can't actually use video widgets and audio from here. You also have the interact page, which you can use to plug different social media accounts like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Messenger, etc. So maybe if you want the end of your journal, you can put these little buttons right here to redirect your reader to your different social media accounts. So as you can see, if you drag and drop it right here, this button will have a URL parameter that you can fill in and a radius. So as you can see, these buttons are pretty much the same, all of them. All they differ by is their icons, so that the reader knows where you are taking them with the respective button.
Next up, we have shapes, and probably they're my personal favorite because they are the ones that make your article really pop off. We have basic shapes ranging from geometry such as rectangle, triangle, circles, to letters, numbers, and even themed shapes such as those specifically for winter or autumn and Halloween, or even the holidays that are coming. For example, snowflakes or bubbles. They also have some utility in regards of arranging elements on your page. So for example, you can use them as a mask, especially the rectangles and geometrical shapes, and put a photo here to instantly resize and crop it to this shape, which makes things much easier than resizing a photo and being careful with how it fits.
Right. Next up, there is the GIF category, which we have not used in our articles yet. If you are feeling a bit creative or playful with your articles and want to animate them a bit, you have either GIFs or stickers that you can use. So just drag and drop them into your article and they will maybe pop out a bit. We also have tables, which are also pretty self-explanatory. You select the number of rows and the number of columns that you want and hit create table. And this will paste a table on your page that you can edit and put text inside of. You also have this little button right here, which actually helps you change your color. So you can either pick a color from this default palette or gray shades, or paste a color code right here to maybe get a particular shade that you want put in your article. So you can either change the color of your background. So for example, if I want to make it red, I'm just going to click right here. And you can also change the color of shapes. So you can drag and drop a shape from here and pick a color from the default palette to make it green, for example. There is also this shortcut menu right here, which has all the important features of this bigger menu. So you can either draw a link hotspot, draw text, draw a video hotspot, or even shapes ranging from rectangles, ovals, and triangles, or even add a comment into your article.
Now, on the right side, we can see that we have some two small menus, pages and layers. So the pages menu allows you to see either single or double format. We usually prefer double since it allows us to see the article as a whole and how it will look like in the finished flipbook. But since we only have one page, we can also use the single format now. Next up, we have layers. So on a page, we have multiple elements, and sometimes we need to have them over or under each other. This is where we use layers. So for example, we can drag and move the selected shape wherever we need to be. So for example, now Alex will drag it under or over the rectangle here. This also works with text and everything you have.
Exactly. And last but not least, you have this action button right here, which actually allows you to open a link, go to a page, or open a pop-in, which is a little description, a little text description right here that you can either choose to get on the bottom, on the top, or wherever you want it. And it works for shapes or images. And you can also change the transparency of your elements right here. Now, to put a bit of what we have learned in use, we are going to try to make a little postcard now that the holidays have come. So we're going to try to make a little holiday-themed postcard. We are firstly going to need a little photo right here. So we are going to put a shape in the middle of our page and use it as a mask for our photo. Next up, we are going to go to the photo section and search for New Year. This is a pretty nice photo to put in. So we are just going to drag and drop it into the mask, and it automatically resizes it to our needed shape. Next up, let's get a little text from here. So we are wishing you a bright 2021. Let's put it in the middle of the page and also make it white so that you can see it. And we are going to also put some graphic elements like shapes, which, as we explained earlier, there are a lot of shapes themed for winter and the holidays. So let's take one of these little snowflakes and put them in the corners right here. Make them white. And also we are going to decorate it a bit and also make these ones white. And there you go. You made your first project in Flipsnack. So now that you know the basics and know how to work with this amazing app that gives you so many different features to make your articles attractive, why don't you try to get creative and start making your own articles today? Thank you.
Thank you, Alex and Daria. So Flipsnack has been a blessing to us, and we really hope, as Alex said, that you will use it in your journey through journalism and that you'll try to implement it in your own projects regardless of what you want to do. Now, we want to show you what we have been able to do with it and give you a little sneak peek into our journals and all of its editions.
Yep, can everyone see the share?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, so as I said, as we have evolved and stepped up our game on the creative side of things, we have also made improvements regarding the content of our articles and how to make it more appealing to a broader audience. Of course, that doesn't mean that we forgot the main purpose of this journal, which is both to bring people together from around the globe and to create a platform where everyone with a passion in STEM and robotics has a voice that can be heard. You don't just have to take my word for it though. We have split multiple articles from each issue into different categories, and we're going to gloss over them, trying to explain what was our thought process creating these articles and how they tie into the bigger picture.
So we're gonna start with what brought us here, which is FTC, or more specifically, our interest in the first community. From my experience, but I'm 100% sure that it's not just mine, the first community is hands down one of the most friendly and eager to learn communities that are out there. So as time went on, we kind of tried to use that positive energy and spread it by incorporating it into our articles, just to kind of show everyone what FIRST really is, to give them a taste of what FIRST is for us who have experienced it.
From our first edition, we have selected the interview with Nazi Prin Educație, the NGO that really brought FTC and the FIRST spirit into our country. With this interview, we tried to ask questions that we had and some other questions that we thought might be suited for everyone reading to enjoy and kind of get a glimpse into how it's like to be an FTC team in Romania.
Moving on to our second issue, which was all about the new FTC season, Ultimate Goal, we have chosen the article that kind of highlighted the main differences between the previous season, which was Skystone, and the current one. You know, here's a fun fact. Every time that we gather together to watch the reveal of the challenge every season, we always reacted with shock and awe. We were always left thinking, wow, this is completely something else. The people that make these never cease to amaze us. Well, I'm digressing right now. So as I was saying, the main point we were trying to highlight is that there will be a lot of challenges, of course, because of the current conditions and because of the challenge itself, of course. And then every team has to kind of prepare to tackle them in due time and prepare not just with the robot, but mentally for what's about to go down.
Moreover, on our October issue, we focused on our past teammate, now alumni, Simona, who goes in detail explaining her sudden transition from part of the group to one of its mentors, which meant a lot of changes in everyone's mindset. As we have previously stated, we're covering each edition of the STEM Hub, which means that I'll have to kind of spoil the surprise of finding out more about the latest edition of it, which is the December issue. Well, maybe just one article out of many, which is our chassis comparison in every season until now.
Of course, FIRST is more than robots. There have been multiple groups popping out within the community as time has passed. And we have had the pleasure of working and being in a group called Eco First, which is dedicated to keeping the planet as clean and beautiful as it is. So in our November edition, dedicated solely to Eco First, we have had teams from multiple countries, and of course within the community, tell their story and talk about different aspects about how to become greener in general and how to, quote unquote, save the planet. And in my opinion, that's what's so awesome about the STEM Hub. It's a means for everyone to get together and share their knowledge with the others. This issue would have been nothing if it wasn't for everyone in the community, in the EcoFirst community, coming together and delivering this sort of product with everyone's experience as quite of a conglomerate, as a means to immerse everyone into what it means to be in Eco First and what it means to fight for change.
Okay,
so
on our subject that we focused on the most time was, quite unsurprisingly, STEM. We tried to concentrate a large amount of information about STEM in almost every article. We wanted the reader to venture deeper into the land of STEM, with every page flipped. With each new edition, we tried to make every topic deal with STEM and make sure that what we made was something that it would be interesting to read. As such, we had topics ranging from the influence of STEM among teenagers in our first edition, to an artist's perspective on the STEM to STEAM initiative, and a lot more. in the last edition, we have tried to focus more on STEM topics and collaborate with prominent figures from our community. For example, we reached out to Mr. and Mrs. Tsaga, authors of the book Linguistics, Logic, and Mathematics, who provided a very interesting insight about the link between mathematics and linguistics. Moreover, we extracted problems from their book and created a small quiz. We encourage everyone to try it and solve these small brain teasers, of course, with a chance of winning prizes. On one hand, we didn't shy away from thoroughly explaining more difficult topics, such Ferguson's. Darius Diku's article, Ferguson's Science and Investigation, offers a deep dive into the intricate processes that take place in plants. On the other hand, we tried to show practical experiments that we made, such the water rockets. We tested them during a meeting with French volunteers, and the whole experience can be found in the article Water Rocket. We understand the important transition from STEM to STEAM, and we wanted to show the correlation between them. We had two articles discussing these topics. Ebru Art and Astrophysics. To offer a little sneak peek, Ebru Art is organic and stunning. Each print is a unique monoprint. The gorgeous designs are suiting and are very similar to the patterns that exist in micro and macro cosmos. And Drawing a Robot, it is the contest that we made where children of all ages send in creative drawings or 3D models of a robot. It is currently at its third edition, and it is included in the calendar of Europeans Week of Robotics.
Now I will share my screen for the third part. Can you see it? Is it okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
now we can see it.
Perfect. So the third part that we try to discuss in our journal is women in STEM. Steffi?
Yes. As the years have passed and all the world has changed, women's fight for equality and recognition has led to a wider representation in the STEM fields. Nowadays, there are more and more women choosing to study and pursue a career in STEM, with programs specifically designed to determine young girls to choose this path. We wanted to celebrate women's achievements and showcase them in our journal. And this is why we have an article dedicated to women in STEM in our monthly journal.
In the September issue, the journal features an article about girls in robotics. Throughout history, women had to work harder to leave their mark on the evolution of science because they were discouraged and condemned for that. However, they were still fires in their pursuit for knowledge, as we have noted in our article.
First of all, we have Hypatia, astronomer, philosopher, and mathematician, who was born around 350 AD in Egypt. She was one of the first teachers in Alexandria. Furthermore, she worked with her father on solar system theories, and most importantly, she invented a version of the.
Next in line, we have Ada Lovelace, 1815 to 1852, daughter of Lord Byron, who is the designer of the first computer program. Her work is a proof of women's accomplishments in technology.
Last but not least, we have Margaret Hamilton, who put the man on the moon. She was the software engineer who worked at NASA and programmed the code for the safe landing of Apollo 11.
The October issue includes an article about gender stereotypes and the present and future of women in science. Modern society is still haunted by stereotypes, particularly when we talk about the field of computer science. The number of female specialists in computer science is increasing, but gender stereotypes and frustration still determine many girls nowadays to consider a less masculine profession in life. The purpose of any journalistic approach is to understand how mentalities can be changed in a masculine world which is extremely competitive, where women can become counterparts or their male competitors. In other words, we have to learn how to develop a set of cultural awareness skills able to overcome gender stereotypes in the field of computer science.
The explanation for this issue is the fact that social barriers and gender stereotypes negatively affect girls' decisions related to applying for bachelor's degree in computer science. There are a number of misconceptions still visible in today's modern society, where women are seen as too soft, more compromising than men, and less able to take decisions under a large amount of stress.
2020 represents a year in which women proved again the force and knowledge they have. Thus, Andrea Ghez won the prize in physics, Emmanuelle Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna shared the Nobel Prize in chemistry, while the most recent Nobel Prize winner is again a woman, the poet Louise Gluck.
In our November issue, which was dedicated to the movements for conserving the environment, we have included an article about the amazing Wangari Maathai. She was an iconic symbol of the global environmental movement. Wangari was born in Kenya on April 1st, 1940. She had the chance to be one of the 300 lucky African students invited to study in the US or Canada for a bachelor's degree. Maathai chose to follow a different path for women during those times, when African women would take care of their children and their families, instead of following a professional career. Her professional career involved a major in biology with a minor in chemistry at the university in Germany.
Wangari Maathai had the initiative to encourage women from disadvantaged communities to get involved in a new kind of movement. She taught women from rural areas how to look for seeds of trees, collect them and plant them in small nurseries, which have later on been moved to the final destination. She and the other people involved in this movement are the parents of over 50 million trees that have been planted since then in Kenya, but not only.
This movement is still active today, which is kind of great, continuing the legacy left by Wangari. Thus, on August 2020, during the rainy season, the Green Belt movement helped the planting of more than 300,000 trees in Kiptogot forest within Mount Elgon, which in the future will rebuild the wildlife habitat, securing the life of people in that region. The December issue features an article about the young and inspiring Alyssa Carson. Though she's only 19 years old, she had done more than others can do in a lifetime. At the age of 16, she had already graduated from the Advanced Posthum Space Academy and starting to plan the mission to the Red Planet, which will take place around the year 2030. In 2014, Carson was the first person to complete the NASA Passport program, visiting all the 14 NASA visitor centers, and she constantly participates in TED Talks, conferences, symposiums, where her passion and charisma make others interested in her work.
In 2018, she published a book entitled So You Want to Be an Astronaut, which guides young people in this risky profession. But this book is not only about the astronaut career, it is about dreams come true, strong character, and the power to fight for a place in this man's world. She is the spokesperson of a generation of girls and women who are involved in science and technology, and one of the most powerful young persons who, in a couple of years, will become as famous as Neil Armstrong was during his time. And now, a quote from Alyssa. People give up on their dreams due to fear and worry. Never stop dreaming. Never give up. Don't let anyone take your dreams away from you. This is the time for change.
We plan on including more articles about amazing and inspiring women in our journal, because we hope to determine young girls who read it to follow their dreams and never stop learning and growing. We have seen how and more women make breakthrough discoveries in STEM-related fields. And even though gender stereotypes still influence the world, we believe that through hard work and perseverance, they can be removed from the general public's beliefs.
And now we will talk about one of my biggest passions and also a topic from our journals, 3D design. The more we learned about robotics, the more we realized the necessity of 3D design in the process of building a robot. It's just like a safety net for everyone to be able to test their robot without needing to go and do things that may end up destroying other parts. Of course, we wanted to share that experience with everyone and incorporate it as much as we could into our articles.
As previously mentioned, this month's... Okay, can you hear me? Oh, well, I was checking. As previously mentioned, in this month's edition, we covered our past chassis based on previous designs, which we made on SolidWorks, which kind of made it easier for us to point out the best and worst decision we made, and it also gave us a little throwback. Also, this was all made while everyone having the project to remember what robot was like down to its teeny tiniest last detail.
Being a part of the EcoFirst group also made us get more inventive on how we went about changing the world. One interesting article for the edition dedicated to it was our submission for a contest in which we mapped trees and plants onto a 3D map of a park for easier recognition of each area. We proved that us, the youngsters, are connected to the problems of the local community, and one of our objectives is to develop green projects. Projects are an alternative exploration of how new technologies can reshape our understanding of nature.
One last thing that we kind of want to gloss over. We may or may not have planned to reveal our last season's chassis, not just chassis, the whole robot, which unfortunately we didn't get to use for the next edition of the journal, all while pointing out the decisions and the sacrifices that we had to make in order to get to that point. Of course, this was all made while building and 3D designing the robot. So, you know, be on the lookout for what's to come.
The STEM Hub Journal has brought the team together through developing new skills. We look forward to improving the content inside of the journal, one issue at a time. Moreover, we want to involve as many teams as we can in the creative process so we can develop the FIRST community as a whole. This has been our presentation. We hope you liked it, and we would like to thank 24 Hours of STEM for giving us this amazing opportunity and letting us share our ideas with you. Also, you can find our journal in our link tree from our Instagram page at Road2D2 team, and the direct link will be posted by one of our teammates on the YouTube live stream. So right now, if there are any questions, it would be a pleasure for us to answer them.
Thanks, guys,
Thanks
so
for that
much.
presentation.
Yeah, no, that was great.
So yeah, I have a couple questions. So first, a question for Stefan. Can you explain what makes you a charismatic genius?
Yeah, so...
And also for everyone else, are you kind of bothered by the fact that his, title is so much like higher tier than everybody else's? Just
yes. So like a funny story. So when we created the presentations, like Pika asked us, yeah, it's like I made two words for each one of you. You know, like everybody got their own two words. So I didn't make mine. So when he came in, he was like, charismatic genius, does that sound fine? And I was like, yeah, just put it on there, you know? And then I saw on Slack while during the presentation that somebody asked like, what makes you a charismatic genius? And I'm on the spot and I have to explain it. So I didn't want to make anyone feel small with it. I was just, like he asked me and I was like, yeah, sure, like put it on there. It doesn't matter. But
okay,
so
as long as you didn't name yourself that. It's fine.
Yeah, so I didn't. That's okay.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
It's your fault, yeah.
And I don't think it bothers us because Stefan is truly extremely smart and he's the glue that keeps us together and we love him.
Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't have to
So you're living up to the name. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
The next question is, has there been a time where you had to rethink your issue from zero and start over? So talking about your journals.
Yes, many times. Because we work on articles and we get new ideas every day. So for example, we finish something late at night, go to sleep and boom, wake up with a bright new idea. And so we delete the article and start again with a new and better graphic. This sometimes happens even later in the process when we are at an article, we find a spectacular theme and we want to apply it to the whole journal. So we start again. It's a long process, but it's also beautiful and we love what we're doing.
So
and
funny story. Hold on, a funny story about that. We were just finishing the previous edition of the STEM Hub Journal. We were just making the finishing touches, and then Don Alex comes along and says, "Hey guys, I have a completely brand new idea for the graphics. It's gonna be great, guys. I promise." And we were sitting there like with the finished product, like, what? You want us to redo the whole thing? Like, yeah, it's not a big deal. We're gonna do it fine. Oh God, it was a much bigger deal than he envisioned.
But it did work out in the end, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So my next question for you guys is, what is your target audience for the journals?
Well, our main target audience is teenagers and young people from 15 to maybe 25 years old. We have educated, yes, so we have a lot of STEM related articles, and we don't only want to share them with maybe the younger audience, even though that's our main audience. We also want to share it with anyone who might have a passion for STEM fields, because that's kind of the point of the journal, to get our ideas out there and create a medium where we can all share our passion and our thoughts for science and dive into the unknown.
Perfect. And the final question is, you said you started the journal this summer. How have the current conditions with the pandemic impacted your ability to interact and spread information?
Well, these have been tough times, and of course, we were no exception. We used to kind of share all information while gathering together at the robotics hub, or just spending time together as a team. We were sharing ideas mainly through words and of course while gathered together. And this script was flipped completely when the whole pandemic started. So it was a completely new thing for us to try to adapt the current condition and to kind of interact better through the use of social media. And of course, it was quite a long process, but through many tries, the desire to kind of make everything the best it could be, and through kind of 10 WhatsApp, Discord, and Facebook groups, we kind of made do, and we reached the point where if someone has a question, they will say, "Guys, I have an uncertainty," and then everyone tries to jump in with the answer, and we're helping each other out as fast as possible, and I don't know, it's quite a nice thing.
I think it helped us a lot mentally, having this journal, because we at some point we had the tendency to isolate further away from everyone else, and this journal pushed us to communicate, collaborate, do research, learn something new. And so we were brought back together and we started leaning on each other. There was the editor-in-chief who continuously pulled us together, asked, how are we doing? Where are we? Do we need help? And so we got closer as a team, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's a ton of teams that, when coronavirus took off and everyone was under lockdown, basically, we're not able to do much. And I think you guys being able to put out these issues is definitely, obviously, it's great content for everyone else, but it's good for you guys to continuously be working on something together. And on that note, I'm curious if you have already been able to see sort of that collaboration on the STEM Hub Journal translate to better collaboration on the robot side. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that.
Each experience. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. So it kind of worked, but the current conditions are still affecting us, and it's kind of been quite a hassle to gather together because we have group restrictions and we really can't do much. But of course, all this communication, all this interaction during the process of making the journal, it has kind of made us easier to share our ideas with each other. So let's say someone goes to the robotics hub and makes some changes, then they come back and share it with everyone, and everyone gives their ideas on how to proceed, how to adapt to different things along the way. And every decision that we are making during this process is, of course, a group decision. We're acting as a team.
Yes, and this journal, we kind of view it as a stepping stone because we have obviously all been forced into this situation where we can only pretty much communicate online. So beginning the journal before the robotic season started has really helped us accommodate with the current situation and helped us improve our online communication skills. And yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a great initiative. I think our team personally, we've tried to do similar things with newsletters, but I mean, obviously it can be tough, especially having students that after an extended period of time can keep up with that skill. But this is great, and I like the platform FlipSnack looked really good. So thank you for sharing that as well. I'm curious if you have any sort of anecdotes about maybe someone seeing the journal and reaching out to you guys, or any sort of relationships you're able to develop even with other teams. I know you mentioned in the eco first part that you collaborate with some teams. Is there any stories you can share about collaborations?
Well, it's kind of not a similar process. Of course, it's different for every team, but whenever we interact, we kind of talk and decide on some sort of theme together. We say either they reach out to us or we reach out to them. Like, hey, we want to make an article, or hey, we want you to have an article. And depending if they accept, we kind of talk things through. Like, guys, this season's theme is gonna be blank. So try and find something that so we all try and find something that fits the criteria and that also fits their interest and their ideals. And we kind of use this as a way both to kind of make stronger bonds with other teams, but we also kind of have a little bit of fun on the way. Like we, of course, not everything is 100% serious when working. There, you tend to sometimes goof off and crack a little joke to lighten up the mood. And of course, interacting with teams should also be grounds for that as well.
Last question. I'm just curious because you guys mentioned you guys are all into Star Wars. If you watched the season finale of The Mandalorian, which came out last night.
I watched it yesterday at like 12 a.m. and I gotta say I was blown away. I was almost crying. Like, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it was absolutely amazing, and I can't wait for the next season. It was just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for your presentation. This was very interesting. And good luck to you guys when the season's coming up. I'm sure you guys will be much stronger as a team from all this that you've been working on this year. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're just going to play a quick video until 11 when we're going to have a presentation from Team 1816. So look forward to that. In the meantime, let's watch this video on 3D printing Lego attachments. Riaz, you do 3D printing, right?
Yeah, but it's not mine. I had one and then I used Encore's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I have the Teams one, but it's kind of broken right now, so I can't do much. Anyways, okay, we'll just watch this with people that can actually do 3D printing. Okay, anyways.
My name is Bill Church. Behind the camera is Pete Rogers.
Hello.
Pete, you've seen 3D printers, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we've had 3D printers at White Mountain Science at Whimsy for a while now. What we've been exploring more recently is what if we print our own Lego pieces? The project that prompted this was we needed to attach a marker to a driving robot base. Let me show you how we did it. So the tools we used Tinkercad. We used another website called Thingiverse, like a universe of things. And then we used the 3D printer to print out the final product. First, we went into Thingiverse and we didn't want to ourselves reinvent the geometry of the Lego holes. We anticipated that others had done that before. So we searched Lego beam. And sure enough, others had created some Lego beams, and let's try this one here. I don't actually need to print this beam itself. Instead, what I need to do is bring those holes into Tinkercad in order to make the marker holder itself, because that's the part I'm going to have to use Tinkercad for. So let me go into the files, and I'm going to just copy the address, because that's actually all I need. Now I switch over to Tinkercad. Could this be done in other CAD programs? Absolutely. So here we're just doing it in Tinkercad because that's what I am familiar with, and it's free. And I've got my blank canvas. Well, what I want to do is add my Lego as if I could take this and just put it right down on the blank canvas. Import from a website, and that was the website that I had from Thingiverse. There's my beam. Okay, so I've got that Lego beam in there, and what I need to do is figure out how can I create a shape to grab onto this marker that's attached to those Lego holes. Like my hands, if I grab on, what if I just sort of think of a U shape? I'll be honest, in the interest of time, I'm going to skip some steps related to measuring this marker to make sure it fits into this particular holder. I just want to show our viewers this process of attaching anything to the Lego beam that serves your purpose. So I'm going to bring a cylinder out here, and then I'm going to bring a second cylinder out. I'm going to shrink this. The neat thing is in Tinkercad I can make one shape a hole to cut it out of a second shape. Let me group them together. And in the case here of my Lego holder, I do need it to kind of be able to sort of come out and as if it's to grab. But what I'm not showing you is whether this holds a wide marker or holds a skinny marker. I just want to show, in this case here, how I've attached to the Lego beam, and then how I've actually shortened the Lego beam. So if I bring that down there, that Lego holder is just on the edge of this beam, and when we combine the two shapes together, they'll be fused and printed as one. But I've got one more trick up my sleeve because I don't need all the holes in this Lego beam. In fact, I just need a couple. So I'm going to cut those off. So I group that. Bye-bye. And I'll zoom out here. And I want to cut those off. Group them together. And I've cut it. Now again, interest of time, I'm not worried about smoothing out those edges or anything. So I will fuse them so that it's now one piece, and I've just invented a piece to hold a marker. So one last trick though. Okay, so I have the holes facing up. What if I want the holes facing the side? Let me ungroup. So if I wanted to flip these 90 degrees, like so, and I group them together. And again, we've just invented our own Lego piece to hold a marker. So we've previously printed the design that works with this marker. And if I clip that on there, we can see that fits my pegs in and attach it to my Lego beam. So I now have a marker holder that I can attach to, say, a robot that drives around. If you want to see more about the robot base and the project where we're drawing on a surface while we're programming the robot, please click on the video that's linked below. Let's go to the whiteboard and point out a few more ideas you can try on your own. In this episode of 5-Minute Classroom, we showed you how to add Lego to another shape to make a pen holder. Where can you go with this? What can you teach with this? So for us at White Mountain Science and in the schools we support, we'll use this for lessons in basic computer-aided design. Always a valuable skill to teach our students. Furthermore, it's a great application of 3D printing. So teach 3D printing with a compelling project idea and a real problem to solve, in this case, the pen holder. Finally, the possibilities are endless. Possibilities. What this idea is really showing you to do is make an adapter. What if you adapted a camera? What if you adapted sensors from other digital science platforms like Vernier or even Microbit? Thanks for watching 5-Minute Classroom. Look forward to seeing you next time.
So for everyone watching, we're just waiting on a few more presenters for our next presentation. So it should just be a couple more minutes. For the members of 1816 that are here, I was just taking a look at your Blue Alliance page, and I liked your 2020 robot name. It's it's showing up as 2020 to be decided, which is pretty funny.
it was definitely decided at one point. I think we called it, oh no. That's weird. I don't know why it would still be like that. We're currently waiting on a couple of our presenters.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, you guys are fortunate you actually got to compete in it. Oh, I mean, we did too, but I mean, you guys won yours 14-1. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Looks like a great robot. I actually am going to probably watch the match video since I think I missed that regional.
Okay. Hey, Nico, could you call Alex and Naren? Oh, we got Alex. Okay, just Naren now.
Hey.
You know, it's a Saturday morning. I think 4 minutes late is no issue.
Okay, that's good.
Background reset. Shoot.
Oh yeah, for Alex, I believe there's a folder of virtual backgrounds that you can put on.
Yeah, I had it on, but I think it reset.
Yeah. Do you think you guys can just start and introduce yourselves maybe while we're waiting for the other presenter, or should we wait?
I'm not entirely sure about this. I'm assuming JJ knows a little bit more, but
I'll pretend to know a little bit more. Naren's probably either his phone is dead or still asleep or something. So yeah, we can totally go ahead and start presenting. Do I have permissions to share my screen? I think I should.
Yeah, you can definitely share your screen.
Okay. So you will be presenting.
Will.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So for everyone in the stream, I mean, we can see your screen now. So yeah, this is team 1816, the Green Machine. Newly Hall of Fame team. Great team out of Minnesota. Riaz, I believe you were messaging me before they started, and you said to quote the kids, you said their bot is goated. It went 14-1 is what you said, right?
I mean, it went pretty well.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'll let you guys take the floor.
So, hi, we're Team 1816. This is our presentation on transitioning from FTC to FRC. I'm JJ. I'm a sophomore. I'm on the build and media team.
I'm Nico. I'm also a sophomore, and I'm part of a coding team. Alex is currently not available, but, you know, Alex.
And I'm Alex. I am a sophomore. I'm on the programming team and the business team.
Okay. So today's presentation, as you know, is about moving from FTC to FRC. We're going to cover stuff like the differences between the two programs, which program you should join, how to balance FRC or FTC with homework and other schoolwork. And we'll have time for questions at the very end. So if you have any of them, please write them down so that we can get to them when we get there. Mission of Team 1816 is to create bold, confident leaders who transform culture to promote, value, and celebrate STEM. Our core values are respect, trust, inclusivity, commitment, and joy of life.
Hello. Okay. My name's Dinko, and I'm a rookie that just recently moved from FTC to FRC. So far, my experience with the team has been pretty sweet. We managed to stay closely connected despite all the challenges that we've been facing during COVID. And for the last couple of years, because I've been part of FTC, I've been able to look back on, all those years. I can't help but realize how my life is like completely different because of my involvement in FIRST and now FRC. For example, if it weren't for FIRST, I would have missed out on like a ton of STEM opportunities, and I wouldn't have met the FRC community, which has always been there to help me when I was in need and all that. All in all, it's not surprising that FRC robotics as a whole has been a net positive experience for me so far. I am going to be talking about, next slide, the things that you need to consider when moving from FTC to FRC. So when considering the shift from FTC to FRC, you got to be able to know the differences between the two. So for example, I'm just going to lead off with the fact that it's more student-led. Instead of your team being effectively carried by the mentors, the students actually have the majority of the heavy lifting on the team. We also have more members on the team. Instead of 10, we've got over like 100, and our teams are formatted differently. So students have more responsibilities. In FTC, you needed Swiss Army knives, so people that could basically just do whatever, whenever. And now you need specialists because you've got so many people on the team that you need someone who's really good at one or two things. Because of this, you also have additional responsibilities on the team because of the interdependent nature of FRC teams, because certain branches of the FRC team need to depend on another branch in order to work. Finally, for this slide at least, everything is a lot more complex. We're using CNC routers and mills as FRC, whereas in FTC we basically never touch those things. And we're also using complex coding stuff as like motion algorithms and all that fancy stuff. It's hard to talk about. This leads into my next slide, which basically means that because we've got so much new stuff, we need a lot more time dedicated to deal with the new stuff. FTC teams are averaging about 5 to 10 hours per week on robotics, including outreach, whereas FRC teams could invest up to 10 hours per week in outreach only, just to give you an idea of how much of a commitment it is. Back in FTC, some teams would be told to rate their commitment level on the team. So my team, for example, rated their commitment level at about like 4 hours, which wasn't too much. But for most FRC teams, if we were to rate their level of commitment, it would be at the max, at least, so 10 or more. Another example of this is during the build season, some members may spend up to 30 hours per week on robotics. It's a big number. Another thing that relates to greater time commitment is you can't really skip robotics practices. Well, you can, but it's a lot more detrimental to you on the team than it is in FTC because there's so much new stuff going on in the FRC community that the moment you miss one practice, you're basically going to miss out on the whole growing phase of the FRC community. And so you're going to be left behind, and it's a lot harder to catch up in FRC than it is in FTC. This greater time commitment is effectively the reason behind, sorry, hold on just a second. Sorry about that. This is basically the reason behind the intensity of the build and competition process. We effectively have more greater commitment and involvement into the team, so you get to form a greater team culture. Personal reaction, personally, I found that, well, because when I switched from FTC to FRC, I found that everything was a lot more compact. I personally loved it. I found the fact that, in FTC, everything was just kind of like separated in a mess. And now when you move into FRC, everything's together and you've got that whole team idea, which I loved. Self-driven nature of the team, like I said before, you're no longer being carried by the mentors, which basically makes the team more intense. You get to make your own parts, which is sweet, but that also means that you're the one responsible for making them. So if you make them poorly, that's on you. The same sort of thing for the funding, where if you screw up the funding, you're going to be reaping, instead of the rewards, you're going to be reaping the consequences of the funding. Finally, well, there's two last things, but the last thing's just kind of a joke. With separated sub-teams, people can dive deeper into their area of expertise. So that basically means that we've got intense, high expertise roles on a team that depend on each other. Then finally, we don't need to deal with an engineering notebook, which is awesome in itself, but also it gives more time for people to be occupied with a robot, which means that it's more intense. You get to work on the robot more. Oh, wait, you didn't switch this. My bad. I just talked all about the slide after that. Man, okay, well, I'm just going to skim over this. The greater involvement in the building process, you've got more time, so you have more time to form team culture. I liked it. And the self-driven nature of the team means that you can build your own parts, but you're the one responsible for them. Funding is a problem because if you do it well, it's a good thing. But if you do it poorly, you're going to be the one getting hurt the most by it, because instead of the mentors dealing with the funding, you're dealing with the funding. And, separated sub-teams, there's more expertise than no engineering notebook. That's just good in general, at least in my opinion. Okay, next slide. Talk about team culture now. When joining an FRC team, in many instances, you're actually joining a team that's already in progress. That is, it's a long-established team. For example, our team, the Green Machine, it was founded in 2005. So we're actually in our 16th season. So there's a lot of years that I haven't been on the team. So I don't know basically 15 years worth of the culture, which basically means that we need to do a lot of team building, team culture building, and team sustainability. Can't speak English. We need to be able to sustain our team more. We need to hold, so for example, to build this sort of team building and team culture, we hold an annual team retreat to instill these missions and core values into our team. I'll talk about that into the next slide. And then team's sustainability ties into year-round outreach. So we're expected to participate and contribute to the outreach in order to sustain the team's funding and all that. And also the outreach activities are key to mission and core values so that we understand what's going on in the team and the missions and core values behind them. Finally, we have dedicated and professional engineering and business mentors that are going to be helping us, along with additional volunteer roles, that are basically helping us instill and develop these core values that help us on the team. Next slide, please. Team retreat. So for us, we do a team retreat in order to build the team culture. We have a team retreat usually once a year at the start of the season, and it's usually overnight, but this season, because of all the fancy COVID stuff that's been happening, we had to host online. We also had a short in-person portion that was socially distant and held outside, but in general, it was different from what it normally was. Team retreat is great for making new friends, and you get to bond with your team and make new members feel included. Next slide, please, and I'm going to hand it off to JJ now.
Yeah, so thank you, Nico. I'm JJ. This is my second year in the Green Machine, and before that, I was on a whole bunch of different FLL and FTC teams. The reason I wanted to join the Green Machine was because I wanted to work on bigger robots and become more involved with FIRST. And probably the coolest moment from FIRST for me was when I got my job. At one point in the past, I had mentioned to my boss that I was on a FIRST robotics team, and he mentioned that he used to be a FRC coach in Hawaii. So when he offered me a job, one of the main things he said was the reason I got the job was that I was a FIRST student and that they were hardworking and some of the best problem solvers that he knew of. So I honestly don't know if I would have gotten that job if I wasn't on FIRST, but I think that just shows the reputation and how just well-known FIRST can be. Safety is really important because there is a pretty big difference between the two programs. The injuries you can get in FRC can, in general, be worse than the injuries from FTC. FIRST has guidelines to reflect that. The only position on an FRC team that's actually required to have is a safety captain, and their job is to make sure that if an accident does happen, you have the required supplies and protocols to make sure you can handle it effectively. They also have the job of trying to figure out how the accident happened and then preventing it from happening again in the future. FRC also has other differences in safety, like the Safety Animation Award, where teams compete to make an animation about how to stay safe in the workshop and around the robot. This is judged by tournament judges at the end of the season. First also has a safety training course that includes everything from fire to safety to team traveling safety. Safety captain is required to take the course, and the rest of the team is encouraged to do so. I took it. And yeah, next slide, and hand it off to Naren, who I think has managed to join us.
We currently cannot hear you, Naren. At least I cannot.
Yeah, no, you're muted now. I don't think you were muted before, but we still couldn't hear you.
Take your time. Take your time.
So out of curiosity, or did you figure out your mic situation? Nope. Okay. Well, I'll just ask some questions in the meantime. I'm just curious. So for 1816, do you guys have like sort of an FTC like pipeline as a part of your team, where like your team has its own like FTC team or several?
Yeah, we have. I think we're going to talk about this later as well. But we have like 10 FTC teams, and I'm the one who mentors the most for all of those. So on a normal year, we're not. I don't think DDIN is running FTC this year just because of COVID, and it didn't really work out. But on a normal year, they would meet 2 or 3 times a week, and then some FRC members would go and help mentor them and make sure they were working on it. And then we also have FLL teams as well. Does anyone know how many we have? It's a decent amount.
FLL teams, I think we have 4. Well, I know the ones that from 3763 are, we started like 6, but that's just one FTC team. And then we kind of tied those in with the Green Machine.
Yeah. So we encourage people to move up from program to program so that we have a constant sustainability for the team. Naren,
Yeah,
it might
no.
be because of your headphones.
Yeah, there might be like a button that's like a mute button or something on your headphones.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, yeah, and while we're waiting, you can enjoy the picture of oh yes, we can.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're all good.
You're all good.
All right, there we go. All right, so let's try this again. Hi, I am Naren from 1816. I'm a sophomore and a rookie on the team. When I first joined FTC, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I ended up having a lot of fun. On my FTC team, I found a group of people that I worked well with and had fun with. And we managed to be successful in that also. And for the past year or so, I have been looking forward to joining Green Machine, this FRC team, mainly as an opportunity to learn more and broaden my horizons about what I know. And now I'm on the team, I am ready to do all that stuff. Next slide. All right, so when you transfer from FTC to FRC, there are a lot of things that you can use. Mostly everything that you learn in FTC is transferable to FRC. But usually what happens is that FRC goes to depth in greater areas. Like there's more specialization in the business team or in the code team. There's a lot more people on just a couple teams, and that's a big difference. And there's also a greater emphasis on public speaking with sponsors, corporate sponsors, for seminars, community groups, and trade groups. So a lot more public speaking than the couple times you do it in FTC. And usually also in FRC, the work is delegated through your sub teams, not through your team as a whole. So you have the code team doing a different thing while the build team does something else, and the business team does something else. And we have line-based coding, and the parts are, building is a lot different because the robot usually takes a lot more work to build and to code, to do everything with it than it does with FRC. And usually we have to use machines and like a CNC router and other stuff like that so that we can have the best robot. Next slide. So now we're going to talk about what if your team doesn't have FRC. So first of all, you want to make sure you have just enough commitment in robotics in general. Like if you only have like 10 kids, that's really not going to be enough to start up an FRC team. So you also have to, and you also have to make sure the kids that are on the FTC team are like really committed and don't spend 2 hours a week doing it, but spend like 10 hours and are willing to kind of like spend more. And I mean, if you have enough people, you might be able to start an FRC team, but there are many challenges to do this. Like you need more sponsors, you need school interests, you need more mentors, you also need a better build space. And these are just a couple of the things that you definitely need for starting an FRC team. Next slide.
All right. I'm Alex from Team 1816, and I'm so glad to have such a supportive and amicable group of people to call my new teammates. I've enjoyed all my experiences on the team thus far. For the last couple of years, I've been with FGC Team Piece of Cake, and I've been fortunate enough to qualify for the World Tournament. Throughout this challenging year, I've looked back at a lot of my favorite memories from the past few years. One of my favorites was being with Team 1816 when we won the Chairman's Award at the Detroit Tournament. My FTC team had just been eliminated in the round robin the day before, and we were all feeling really down, but being in the stands with the older kids and shouting like crazy when the winner was announced is one of the best feelings I've ever had. Looking back on that moment, it just made me realize how much I wanted to be with such an energetic and motivated group of people. Next slide. So balancing schoolwork and robotics can be challenging. Robotics will have homework, and you may even receive a work or sign up for a project that needs work outside of meetings. It's also important to keep up with your current school homework commitments. You have to account for your current homework load and consider how robotics would work with your schedule. We do meet almost every day of the week, so that can be challenging.
Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask them. I think we already have a couple in the chat somewhere, but if you have more, please put them in now.
I have one for you guys. So actually, I was a driver for FTC last year, and I'm wondering if any of you guys had the experience being on the drive team for either both. And if you did, what would be some differences, and what do you have on any advice for that transition?
So I was a FTC driver last year. I don't have any experience driving on FRC, but I know what the kinds of controls are like, and I know I'm on the software team, so I know how all the code works, so i.e. what the button inputs do. And it's similar. You're playing off of either a computer or like a joystick, but it's also important to remember that the robot that you're controlling in FRC is a lot bigger, and it can do like serious damage if you really mess up. So I'm sure that can be really stressful.
Yeah, it's effectively FTC except on a bigger scale. You've got more possibilities to, well, make mistakes effectively because you've got more complicated equipment. And usually the goals during the FRC are harder to meet for the robot than they are in FTC. So it's usually like the same sort of base where you've got the same kind of controls and everything, but the stakes are higher and you have just more complicated equipment in general.
Question for you guys. So on 1241, we're actually trying to integrate we've have been an FRC team and we're trying to integrate FTC into our program more. So we've had the sort of pipeline of going from FLL and then bring them onto our team eventually. But obviously there's a big gap there. I'm curious what you guys think some of like the benefits might be for a program to, that it already has FRC and adding FTC there.
So do you guys already have FTC teams? And
so just Canada in general didn't really have too much FTC. So it's just getting up and going now. And we're integrating it more and more into our program essentially. Just curious if you, well, I guess for some of you guys, how do you think your experience as an FTC student or your program in general, if you can see it like for the whole program perspective, how do you think it makes your FRC program stronger?
I think excuse me and Alex have been through all of FLL to FRC, and I think the biggest difference is we're used to it a little bit. We've gotten more experience at going to tournaments and going and building robots and just all the public speaking and everything that's needed to be in first. So that's not to say that you can't be amazing at FRC if you haven't done any of that, but it can help a little bit. And having a consistent FRC pipeline is also one of the best ways to make sure the team sticks around for many, many, many years.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
I also want to point out that I feel like FTC gives a lot of base components. Like you learn how to build stuff, you learn how to code stuff, you learn how to write a notebook, which can, help you, but you not really. And you learn how to public speak. And these skills aren't really transferred to FRC easily, but you can really easily build off of them. And you've kind of got a head start on the kids who have not done FRC or FTC.
And could you go into a little bit of like, so the way that you guys, you mentor FTC teams, like your 18, 16, the way that it works, is it like some of the more senior FRC students are also at the same time mentoring FTC teams, or is it more like mentors, or just kind of go into your specifics? Because I'm always curious to know how different teams operate.
So I'm the one who does most of that, and there's a couple of FRC students who go to FTC teams and help them with questions. It's really helpful if you have rookie members who are like, hey, how do I get the drivetrain to work, or what gear ratio should we use here? And if you have FRC students who have done all of that before, they can really help explain how it works and just teach what they need to know. I think
I have a question as well. If you guys had an opportunity to redo the transition from FTC to FRC, what would you guys do differently, or what would you focus more on?
Okay, first things first, check your email. You have no idea how many Google Meets and Zoom meetings I have missed because I have not checked my email. Now, a more serious thing is you should ask questions. Questions are like the best thing you could do, because everyone else out in the FRC community wants to help each other. So you can just go out and ask basically any sort of question, and they'll be out there to help you, and that'll give you a really good lead on, integrating yourself into the FRC community.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm curious if you guys have any experience, like maybe implementing an idea that you first like a robot design idea that you first came across an FTC and FRC robot. I don't know if you have any examples, but I'd be curious to hear them.
I can't directly respond to that yet because since I'm a rookie, I don't have the huge amount of expertise as some other people that have been on the team for a long time. But I can say, I guess this doesn't really exactly respond to your question, but I can say that a lot of the things that I used a hypothesis for. Well, I mean, I wanted to put in an FTC robot. My brain's dead. When I moved to FRC, I found that they were basically using all of these components. So I guess it's kind of the opposite of that, where instead of implementing into FRC, it's more like all the stuff that I thought about like doing in FTC is the stuff that I can actually do in FRC.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think one of the biggest things that I wasn't on the team when they implemented this, but there's a very similar connection between the deep space game with the ball collectors using compliant wheels and other things with FTC teams, because lots of FTC teams use compliant wheels for collectors and such, and I think that's probably something that was transferred.
Yeah, no, that's a great example, because I mean, our team, we have more experience with Vex, and we even like whenever we're going through kickoff, we'll like highlight some of the Vex games as well as some of the FRC games that are like maybe have some similar ideas. And it just helps because maybe, you know, you have an FRC game that was similar back in like 2008, for instance, but a lot of the kids will have to go to some like grainy old videos on YouTube to see that, versus maybe there was a recent FTC game that they can relate to more easily. So, I mean, all those things, I mean, it's just one of the many little things that contribute to, you know, FTC strengthening your whole program in general. So, Riaz, any more questions?
No, I think that's it so far. There's none in the chat.
So I'm curious, actually, just a few last notes. What are your plans for, you mentioned FTC, like it's not with COVID, it's sort of on pause. So I guess, did you just, are waiting for the next season, or are you building some but not competing, or what's your plan?
It was really hard for them to meet because they all met in the same cafeteria after school, and that's a lot of people to have in a very close area. So we all kind of agreed it wasn't a great idea to have. So I think we're just going to continue next season. And I know for sure that all of the coaches and a lot of the students really want to keep doing it. So I'm sure it will still be there, but probably not this season.
Sorry, go ahead.
We're in the school. FTC is in the school, and right now the school is closed. So we can't, all our materials are in the school, our field. We use some of the green machine stuff. All that is closed, shut down. We can't do anything else. So
yeah, no, we're in a similar situation. So makes sense. I'm curious, actually, if you guys, for those of you that have competed in FRC too, how do you manage, because obviously the competition timelines overlap. How do you manage that when it's like the height of FRC build season and you're dealing with FTC competitions? Do you struggle, or any tips for teams that are trying to manage both?
So when it becomes build season, generally we have less mentorship with the FTC teams, but we still try and do it as often as we can. And there's been a couple of times, especially last year, when I skipped out on FRC meetings to go to FTC competitions and watch the teams that I've been mentoring compete. So it's not unreasonable to just say that you can miss one build practice meeting and go to an FTC competition to hang out with your team and make sure everything's going all right for them.
Okay, that's great. I think we have a few more questions from chat. One of the ones I'd be curious to know is for the rookies. I mean, you guys mentioned the extensive culture on Team 1816, and obviously you guys are newly Hall of Fame team. And you know, I can say personally that I've been following, you know, as a chairman's mentor and former chairman student, I've been following your team for quite a while now, and you guys do great stuff in your community. So I'm curious, like, if you can speak to your culture, how it contributes to your program, and you know, maybe some things that you really appreciate about Green Machine's culture.
I think I got this one. Well, I can't just say it's a blast, because I guess that's kind of obvious for me, at least. I loved everything about it. But everything is more compact. You got, more running gags since the team has been going on for so long. You've got the community. You've got just more people around, so you've got more jokes to tell. And so that culture is just way more developed. It's rich, and instead of the FTC teams that, FTC is good. It's got all the stuff in it, but it's smaller, and it's also usually around for way less time. It's more temporary. So it's more about this year, what's going on this year. Like, it's more about the tournaments and all that. And in FRC, yes, it is about the tournaments and getting the wins and, like, having fun at the tournaments, but it's also about, the culture and being around with each other.
Yeah, it's a great way to phrase it, for sure. Riaz, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, so can the rookies on the call talk about the team culture on 1816?
Riaz, I just asked that question. Come on.
I'm sorry, okay. And for those of you on the software programming group, how did software process differ between FTC and FRC? Was it harder or easier on FTC?
The software? Oh, okay. Well, it's complicated, at least for our team. I used to be software before in FTC, and I actually understood everything that was going on. Now that I am in FRC, it's like this whole, like, info is being barfed out at me effectively. There's so much stuff in the code files and everything, and since there's so many new things that we need to deal with, like, for example, we're using a turret on a robot, which involves crazy maths that I haven't taken Calc PC, so I still don't understand more than half of that stuff. So I gotta say it's more complicated, to say the least. I think Alex, I'm not sure if Alex has more to say about this because he's also on the software team, but that's my impression.
Yeah, well, so for the vision side of our software, which is sort of the sub team that I do work for, we had done some vision processing on FTC last year, but a lot of the steps for FRC vision processing, you have to, like, do a lot more in order to be able to get images and interpret that kind of data. Like, we're using a neural net, so we have to train that and use that to interpret images. So it's like a whole different ball game compared to just using, like, data sets and interpreting it that way, which we did with FTC.
You guys are using a neural network for your vision processing?
Yeah.
It's impressive. And so are you? Okay, wait. I kind of derailed the topic. Are you using your own vision system, or, like, Limelight with that, or what are you doing?
We're still fleshing out some of that stuff. It's kind of early stages.
We the person to ask about this is Ian on our team. We've been joking that if there's, like, a free hour or whatever, we'll just put him on the Zoom meet and he'll just go through the presentation for 3 hours.
Okay.
So that's plenty to talk about there, but yeah, I'm wrong person. Sorry, I'm on build.
Yeah, no, it's totally okay. I'm not even like a software person myself. I just couldn't help but ask.
And then I have one final question. So there's a common challenge with FRC teams that have like an FTC feeder team, in that they often underestimate the skills that FTC students have coming into FRC. So how do you guys tackle that disconnect?
So I guess it would be kind of like, you have rookies coming in. They obviously have some experience, but they're still, in their first year. And so they might be, confident to take on more, but with everything that they've learned from FTC, but maybe there's challenges in them getting that in their first year.
I've been on the receiving end of that because, rookie and all that. But yes, I can see that there are some moments when, you feel that you've got the expertise, but there's a lot of gaps between what you know and what everyone that's experienced and has been on the team for a long time, the experienced FRC people. There's definitely a gap in understanding between the two. Sometimes you'll go in, for example, for me on the code, you'll go in and you will look at a set of code, a project, and you won't understand a single word of it. And then the experienced people will go in and just rattle off exactly what it means. And I will look at them like, wait a minute, how do you know all of this? That's just, it confuses me, but I mean, it makes sense because there's still a lot that I need to learn. The gap is there.
Yeah, okay. I think that's a good perspective to have on it, because I mean, obviously, you always have this where the kids that want to take on more, obviously they have a ton of skills, but sometimes you just need to also take a step back and make sure that you're learning at the correct pace. Yeah. So I want to thank you guys all for this presentation. It was really interesting for me personally, and I think it was great and helpful for everyone watching as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. See ya.
And with that, we'll sign off. So we have about 15 minutes for our 12 o'clock presentation. And so now that Mean Machine is hopping off, I think we'll just play some videos for you guys, and we can wait for the 12 p.m. presentations. We have team 503 talking about developing iOS apps with Swift. So that's pretty interesting. I think actually we were looking at that ourselves because currently we have our scouting app. So we have our scouting app on Android tablets, but we also have a bunch of iPad minis as a team that basically are lying around because we so far have been unsuccessful in coding for iOS apps. So I think our team could benefit a lot from this presentation. Riaz, wouldn't you prefer to be scouting on an iPad than an Android tablet?
Yeah, personally, I don't like Androids at all. They're pretty hard to use.
You scouted for a couple competitions, right?
Yeah, but I had to do it on paper, so it was even worse.
Because you were doing for 1285, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I tried the scouting app as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we'll play video now. Let's see what it's gonna be.
So when I was a kid, when I was like 9 before we really started, I was selected mute, which is like, I was really shy. I didn't really want to talk to people. It gave me a lot of anxiety. Whereas through the first program, I've had the opportunity to talk to judges and talk to adults. It's something I really like to do. We're up in Homebush for the first robotics competition for the South Pacific Regional.
In First Robotics, you are given a set challenge at the beginning of a 6-week build season, and you build your robot for 6 weeks when you bag it up and send it away, and then you go and compete with multiple other teams from all over the world trying to get a spot in Houston.
We are Complete Chaos Inc. and we're from Helensburgh, which is about an hour and a half south of Sydney. Helensburgh is like an old school mining town and it's really into like sports and there's like the coal mines and stuff. And for us, like as Complete Chaos, it's a really cool thing that we have like this opportunity to share robotics and this inspiration and passion for robotics with all these young kids from a typically mining town. Our club, Complete Chaos, formed in 2011 as like a hobby club. The kids grew older and stuff. We added on first Lego League, and that was a really, really cool challenge for us. We really enjoyed it. I was 9 years old when we started that, so little kid. And we went all over. We went to Spain and America for that. It was really, really fun. And then obviously as the students from that group grew older, we also added on top FRC, which is the higher level robots that we're doing here at this competition today. So when you walk down onto the stage and you're getting ready to play, it's crazy. Like there's so much excitement, there's so much going on. The people cheering and then there's like people dancing and there's horns and chants. And when you actually get onto the field and you've got everything set up and you're just waiting, it's really crazy. Like you feel so anxious, but like also really excited. It's a really cool feeling. It's like a sports game. You know, you've planned it out, you're ready. Like it's really exciting because anything could happen during those matches. So you got every single match, like no matter how good you think you are or how, you know, ready you feel, you've got that like tension, that excitement because you never know what's going to happen.
6, 5, 7, 9, oh yeah!
So we're currently in the qualification stages and eventually we'll go into alliance selections. So we need to be ranked 8th to get in to be an alliance captain, but we can be any rank to be picked.
Pretty much what we want you to do is just get rid of the one that you get from starting and then go defend and then get back to that 30 seconds climb.
Yeah. They're not going to climb, it's not park, you have to climb. Unlucky. Oh well, what can we do? We must have got heaps of fouls.
So we haven't made the top 8 in this competition due to some uncontrollable factors. So now we're trying to shop around for teams that'll take us in for the playoffs. We're just wondering if there's something you want us to do for the next match as well.
Plus last game you guys lost a lot of points.
Yeah, the other team.
Yeah, because I think there are two teams over there, right?
Oh no, the other team, their radio fell out, and so they were out of their frame perimeter. That's what the referee told us. So basically the way it works is the teams 1 to 8 can pick their 2 teams that they want to play with. And so we're talking to all the top teams to try and make sure that we get picked. So that's talking about what do they want to see from us, what do they want us to try and do to make sure that we are the best robot that we can be for them. So we'll try and make sure that no one else gets in our way this time, and we'll defend for half the match.
Yeah, and I also say that you guys do the hatch and the balls.
Yeah, so we can do hatches, balls, we can do everything but climb kind of thing, so we'll make sure to play heaps of defense for you, and hopefully it pays off.
Okay, awesome. We'll definitely have a look, and good luck.
For sure, thank you.
I think like being in like first has done some really awesome things. There's so many. So we started with, it gives you more context for what you're doing in school. So like when you're sitting in a class and you're learning maths and you're like, oh, this is so boring. Whereas like when you actually have something to apply it to, something that's cool and something that you really enjoy, it makes you actually want to learn more and it makes you more engaged in your classwork. So I think that's been something really cool for our students, is it gives you like, you know, a goal and something to actually put into practice. And then also it's learning real like tech stuff. It's, you know, we're working with engineers and we're working with like real people who are in the industry and we're learning so much from them every day.
Best robot in Australia, there it is. Wow.
So like for us, we were so inspired by all of the people who we would meet at the competitions. And now we go back and we volunteer at multiple competitions and like we do everything. So we're refereeing, we're judging, we're emceeing, we're, you know, leading all the dances and playing with all the little kids and getting them inspired about the like FIRST and robotics and all of this stuff. It's really, really cool.
So irrelevant of whether we win or lose, it's still been a great season. We've learned so much, we've met so many people, and the FIRST robotics experience is just totally worth it no matter whether you make it to Houston or not.
Team 7433. There's a lot of cells on this spreadsheet.
There are a lot of cells.
What are they telling you?
They're telling me that we're going to be complete chaos.
6579 happily and graciously accept.
You attack the right side, we'll attack the left side, and we'll swap.
Yep.
And this is all 3D printed?
This 3D printed, this is not a high stress area, so the high stress areas like spacers, I don't see why not.
We're doing a hatch, Iona's doing a hatch, and they're doing a ball.
79! 33!
Yep, we're good. All right, let's go. We got this.
Oh, yes! What a game! Wow!
We're through the quarterfinals and now we're into our semi-final tiebreaker. So we've won one game, the red side has won one game, and so now we're going to see who goes on to the finals.
And what would it mean to you if you guys won this one?
It means we're going to the finals, which would be insane. Like it's really, really tense, scary.
You just keep going balls, Jaya. Keep going balls. You've got it all day long. 449. You're coming for 5, 449. That's the way. Got it. You got it. Another ball. One more. 30 seconds, guys. 30 seconds. Well done. Well done. Okay. Yes! 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 You're the legend. Yes! Nice work. Nice work. Oh my God! Thank you. Beautiful defense. Oh man, that 38-81 killed it. So we've been playing really well these last few matches. We're going into the finals really positive. We've got a really strong strategy, amazing defense bot, and 2 that are really good at scoring points. We're just going to hold on, see what we can do. Finals, here we go.
It's good.
I know, it's crazy. Good luck.
Love it. Okay.
So we're going hatches, they're going balls, and they are going defense. Let's go. You guys have got this. Let's do it.
6, 3, and 6.
Yep. That's the way, Jaya. That's the way. Go balls. Go balls in there. Go balls. That's it, Jaya. Well done. Come here, and we're going front cargo ship. 63, That's it. Defense. Come back. Go. Now. Ball. You're winning. You're doing good. Drop it. No. Oh my God. It's going to be close no matter what happens. So they got 9 more points at the end of the game.
It's all good. Bring it in.
What can you do?
Hey, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Bring it in. Okay.
We had a really strong alliance. We just couldn't pull it together at the end. So we had a good strategy. We did everything we could, but right at the end, one of our robots tipped over, and you can never predict what's going to happen. It doesn't look like we're going to be making it to the US this year. We've had a really good season. We did all that we possibly could, but in the end, it just didn't quite work out. If we don't get a qualifying award or a wild card, that'll be the end of our season.
We lost the finals and we're super gutted because, so much goes into the strategy and, working with your alliance, and there's always random factors that will come in, like the other team's defense and, a robot broke down and the client didn't work. So, we played the game as well as we could have and we're super proud of how we did, but yeah, pretty gutted about the finals.
This team has designed their machine to play and win the game, even if half of it were to be blown off. Guided by a $10 cat toy laser, we are proud to announce the winner of the Excellent in Engineering Award to team number 6579!
We can't believe it. We've just won the wild card and we're going through to the US. All of our hard work has finally paid off over the 6-week build season and the last week competition. We're finally going to Houston and we're going to compete with teams from all over the world now.
I'm so stoked. I'm really, really excited to go to Houston with our whole team and participate there in front of like all of the world's best FRC teams. It's going to be so crazy. I'm really excited.
Okay, everyone. So I believe that the Mentors Without Borders 4 stream has gone live on the 24 Hours of STEM YouTube channel. So that should be available right now. And yeah, I can see it is live. So that's 24 Hours of STEM dash WMB 4. So Mentors Without Borders 4. I just want to take this time to thank all of our viewers for being here, watching the stream. Hopefully we had some great content for you guys. I know I had personally enjoyed some of the presentations, all of them. Honestly, there was a great amount of information in all of them, and just always interesting to learn about how and what other teams are doing. So with that, I'd just like to thank the generous sponsors of this event, being Boeing, Google, and Macquarie University, and the organizing committee for this event for all their help. And yeah, Riaz, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us for the past 3 hours. I know I've learned a lot personally, and I hope you have as well. I'd like to now hand it over to our friends on team
1816, actually. They were our last presentation, and now they'll be hosting the Mentors Without Borders 4 stream.
Yeah, perfect.
So thank you all so much. And yeah, with that, we're off.